The alarm on the bridge made everyone jump. Captain Vextral's antenna twitched as he looked at the screen. His 6 eyes focused on the strange reading that appeared in the empty space ahead. "What is that?" he asked in his clicking voice. The alt science officer touched her crystal body to the console. Light passed through her transparent form as she worked. "Captain, I've never seen anything like this. The energy signature is massive. It does not match anything in our database." Vextral stood from his chair. The Kavarian captain had explored space for 30 years. He had seen many strange things, but this felt different. "How far away is it?" 2 light hours from our current position. The readings come from an uncharted star system. There are 7 planets, but the signal comes from the 3rd one. In the corner of the bridge, Unikim looked up from her station. She was the only human on the ship, working as a liaison for the Galactic Coalition. Her job was to help different species understand each other. She walked over to Thalmira's console. "Can you show me the readings?" Una asked, the crystal being shifted colors, showing she was thinking. "The numbers are very high. Whatever is down there uses more power than our entire ship." Vextral made a decision. "Set course for the system. We will investigate." The ship moved through space, and 3 hours later, they arrived. The 3rd planet filled their screens. It was massive, with dark red clouds swirling across its surface. Lightning flashed constantly in the atmosphere. Thalmira's body turned a worried shade of blue. "Captain, this is a Class 3 Deathworld."
Ah!
Everyone on the bridge went silent. Deathworlds were the most dangerous planets in the galaxy. They had extreme gravity, toxic air, and deadly creatures. Most species could not even think about landing on them. "Give me details," Vextral ordered. "Gravity is 2.3 times standard. Temperature ranges from 35 to 60 degrees Celsius. The atmosphere is breathable but contains high levels of carbon dioxide and methane. Scanning shows massive life forms on the surface. Some are over 20 meters tall." Una's heart beat faster. Earth was classified as a Class I Deathworld. It was dangerous to most aliens, but humans lived there fine. This planet was much worse. "What about the energy signature?" the captain asked. Thalmira worked her console again. "It comes from the largest continent. There is a structure there. A very large structure." The screen changed. It showed a long object buried in the ground. It was dark and massive, stretching across 15 kilometers of the planet's surface. The ship was half buried in rock and dirt, but parts of it stuck out clearly. "That is a ship," Vextral said quietly. "A vessel." "Yes, Captain. But it is old, very old. The materials do not match anything we know. I cannot scan inside it. The hull blocks all my sensors." Una moved closer to the screen. Something about the shape looked familiar. She had studied ancient human history. The design reminded her of old generation ships from Earth's past. "Can you get a closer look at the hull?" she asked. "I want to see if there are any markings." Thalmira focused the scanners. The image zoomed in on a section of the ship that was clear of dirt. There were symbols carved into the dark metal. They were worn and old, but still visible. Una's breath caught in her throat. The symbols were letters. Human letters. Ancient Korean and English mixed together. She could barely read them, but she recognized enough. "Eternal horizon," she whispered. "You can read that?" Vextral Asantana pointed at her. "Those are human symbols. Old ones. Very old. That ship was built by humans." But the bridge went quiet again. Everyone stared at her. Humans were still new to the galaxy. They had only joined the Coalition 50 years ago. Most species thought humans were weak because they came from a dangerous planet. The idea that humans built something this big, this advanced, seemed impossible. "How old?" the captain asked. Una shook her head. "I don't know. Maybe thousands of years. We lost a lot of records during the dark times on Earth." Thalmira's colors shifted to orange, showing confusion. "The analysis shows this vessel has been here for at least 3,000 years. But humans only developed space travel 500 years ago." "That we know of," Una said softly. "There are gaps in our history. Times when everything fell apart. We lost knowledge, lost technology. This ship might be from before those times. Vextrel paced the bridge. His claws clicked on the metal floor. This changes everything. I must report to the Coalition High Council immediately. He sent the report. 6 hours later, the council responded. Their message was clear. Investigate, but do not land. The planet was too dangerous. They would send more ships to study the vessel from orbit. Yuna felt frustrated. Captain, if that ship is human, humans should be the ones to investigate it. You heard the council? No landing. The planet would kill most of us in minutes. But not me, Yuna said. She stood straight and looked at the captain. I am human. I can survive conditions that would kill you. If you get me closer, I can scan it properly. Maybe even get inside. Vextrel's antenna drooped. The council said no landing. The council is not here. You are the captain. You can make decisions in the field. Yuna pointed at the screen. That ship has been waiting for 3,000 years. Someone built it. Someone crashed it here. If they were human, they might have left something behind. Information, technology, knowledge that could help everyone. The captain looked at his science officer. Thalmira turned green, which meant she was thinking carefully. The human is right. We cannot scan through the hole. Someone must go inside to learn anything useful. Vextrel sat down heavily. I will authorize a reconnaissance probe. But if you go down there, Unikim, you do not go alone. We wait for more humans to arrive. This is too important and too dangerous for one person. Yuna nodded, but inside she was already planning. That ship called to her. It was a piece of her people's lost history. She would find a way to reach it, no matter what it took. On the screen, the eternal horizon waited in silence, buried in the deadly world below. 5 days passed before the other humans arrived. 3 ships came from nearby Coalition stations carrying volunteers who wanted to see the ancient vessel. Yuna met them in the docking bay of the Luminous Seeker. Giwan Park was the first to step off the transport. She was tall and moved like a soldier. Her dark hair was cut short and her eyes were sharp. I hear we have a Deathworld to explore, she said with a small smile. Class 3, Yuna replied. Worse than Earth. Good. I was getting bored with easy assignments. The others followed. Minho Choi was shorter, with quick hands that never stopped moving. He was an engineer who specialized in ancient technology. Hannah Lee carried cases of scientific equipment. She studied dangerous ecosystems for a living. Tai Ho Kong came last. He was quiet and carried weapons that made the alien crew nervous. They gathered in the briefing room. Captain Vextrel showed them scans of the planet and the ship. The vessel is 15 kilometers long. It is buried under 300 meters of rock and soil in some places. The only clear entrance we can see is here. He pointed to an opening near what looked like the ship's front section. What about the wildlife? Jiwan asked that. Thal single quotes Myra projected images of the creatures they had scanned. Massive beasts with thick armor and long claws. Flying predators with sharp beaks and wide wings. Things that looked like they could eat a human in one bite. Everything on that planet wants to kill you, the crystal officer said. The temperature will make you uncomfortable. The gravity will make you tired. The atmosphere will require filters. And the animals will hunt you. Hannah leaned forward, studying the images closely. These are apex predators. Multiple species competing for the same territory. That should not be possible. It is a death world, Vextrel said simply. The rules are different. When do we leave? Tai Ho asked. We will drop you in armored pods as close to the vessel as possible. You will have 72 hours. After that, we extract you whether you finish or not. The team spent the rest of the day preparing. They checked their equipment 3 times. Yuna could not sleep that night. She kept thinking about the ship waiting below. What would they find inside? Who had built it? Why had it crashed? Morning came too quickly. The team put on their protective suits and climbed into the drop pods. The pods were small and cramped. Yuna felt her stomach drop as they launched from the ship. The descent was rough. The pods shook as they hit the thick atmosphere. Heat built up outside until Yuna started to sweat. Then the parachutes deployed, and the shaking got worse. Brace for impact. Jiwon's voice came through the radio. The pod hit hard. Yuna's teeth rattled, and her vision went dark for a second. Then everything was still. She hit the release button, and the pod door hissed open. The heat hit her first. It felt like standing too close to a fire. The air was thick and smelled strange, like sulfur and rotting plants. Her suit immediately started working harder to keep her cool. Yuna stepped out onto red dirt. The gravity pulled at her, making each movement feel heavy. She could already feel the strain in her legs. The sky above was dark orange with clouds that moved too fast. "Sound off," Jiwon ordered. One by one, the team reported in. Everyone had landed safely within 100 meters of each other. They gathered their equipment and started moving toward the ship. It was only 2 kilometers away, but in this gravity, it felt like 10. They had walked for 30 minutes when Hannah suddenly stopped. "Movement," she whispered. 3 o'clock, behind those rocks. Everyone froze. Taiho raised his weapon slowly. From behind a cluster of black stones, something emerged. It was 4 meters tall, covered in thick scales, with a head full of teeth. Its eyes locked onto the humans. "Nobody moved," Jiwon said quietly. The creature took a step forward, then another. It opened its mouth and roared. The sound was so loud that Yuna felt it in her chest. More roars answered from different directions. They were surrounded. "Run," Jiwon shouted. The team sprinted toward the ship. The creatures chased them. Yuna could hear their heavy footsteps behind her, getting closer. Her legs burned from the gravity, and her lungs ached from breathing the filtered air. Minich tripped and fell. Taiho spun around and fired his weapon. The energy blast hit the closest creature in the chest. It stumbled, but did not fall. Instead, it got angrier. "They have armor plating," Hannah yelled. "Aim for the joints." Taiho fired again, hitting the creature's leg. This time it went down. But more were coming. "Too many to fight?" Jiwon grabbed Minho and pulled him up. "Keep moving." They ran. Yuna's heart pounded so hard she thought it might explode. The ship was close now. She could see its dark hull rising from the ground like a mountain. Then she noticed something strange. The creatures were slowing down. They were still chasing, but not as fast. As the team got closer to the ship, the animals stopped completely. They paced back and forth at an invisible line, roaring and hissing, but they would not cross it. "They are afraid of the ship," Hannah said between gasps for air. The team did not question it. They ran the last 100 meters and pressed themselves against the ancient hull. The metal was cold, despite the heat. It was dark gray, almost black, and perfectly smooth. There Minho pointed. The entrance. It was a massive airlock, built for something much larger than a human. But there was a smaller door set into the larger one. A door that was exactly the right size for people like them. Taiho examined it. No visible controls. "How do we open it?" Yuna stepped forward. She placed her hand on the door. Nothing happened for a moment. Then the metal under her palm glowed with soft blue light. Lines spread out from where she touched, forming a pattern. The door made a sound like a sigh and slid open. Inside was darkness. Cool air rushed out, carrying a smell that reminded Yuna of old books and dust. "The ship is still active," Minho whispered. "After 3,000 years, it still has power." Jiwon checked her scanner. The inside reads as safe. Normal atmosphere, normal temperature. It is inviting us in. They looked at each other. Behind them, the creatures still roared and paced. Ahead was only darkness and mystery, Jiwon said. "We came here to explore." She stepped through the doorway. One by one, the others followed. Yuna went last. As she crossed the threshold, the door slid shut behind her. Lights flickered on, one by one, stretching down a long corridor. The walls were made of the same dark metal, but here they were clean and perfect. "Welcome home," a voice said from everywhere and nowhere. It spoke in ancient Korean. "We have been waiting for you." The team stood frozen in the corridor. The voice had spoken in a language that was 3,000 years old, yet they had understood it perfectly. Who said that? Taiho raised his weapon, scanning the empty hallway. Please lower your weapon, the voice said, switching to modern Korean. I am Arya. I am the artificial reconnaissance and intelligence advisor for this vessel. I mean you no harm. Lights brightened along the corridor. The walls were lined with panels that glowed softly. Everything looked new, as if the ship had been built yesterday instead of thousands of years ago. You are an AI? Minho asked, stepping forward. Yes. I have been waiting for humanity to return. 3,214 years. I apologize for the wait. Juan lowered her weapons slowly. Where are your crew? What happened to this ship? Please follow the lights. I will take you to the command center. There, I can explain everything. The team looked at each other. Yuna nodded. Came here for answers. Let's get them. They walked through the ship, and with each step, Yuna felt more amazed. The corridors were wide and tall. The metal under their feet did not make any sound when they walked. Doors slid open automatically as they approached. Everything worked perfectly. This technology is more advanced than anything the Coalition has, Minho whispered. He touched a wall panel, and it lit up under his fingers, showing information in ancient script. Hannah was looking at everything with wide eyes. The ship is maintaining itself. After all this time, it is still running, still clean, still functional. How is that possible? My systems were designed to operate for 10,000 years without maintenance, Arya replied. I am currently at 32% of that lifespan. They reached the command center. It was a large room with screens covering the walls. In the middle was a chair, clearly meant for a captain. Around it were stations for crew members. Everything was sized for humans. Please sit, Arya said. I will show you what happened. They sat at the different stations. Immediately, screens came to life. Images appeared, showing space, showing Earth, showing people who looked like them but dressed in strange clothes. This vessel is called the Eternal Horizon, Arya began. It was launched from Earth in the year 847 of the Exodus era. Your modern calendar would call it approximately 3,200 years ago. The Exodus era? Yuna asked. I've never heard of that. You would not have. It was a time of great suffering. Earth was dying. The atmosphere was failing. Resources were gone. Humanity had two choices: find new worlds or go extinct. The screen showed Earth, but not the Earth they knew. This Earth was gray and brown. The oceans were small. The sky was dark with pollution. 47 generation ships were built, Arya continued. Each carried 50,000 people. The mission was simple: find habitable worlds, establish colonies, save humanity. What happened to the other ships? Juan asked. I do not know. We lost contact with all of them within the first 100 years. Space is vast, and communication over such distances was nearly impossible with our technology. The screen changed. It showed the eternal horizon flying through space, beautiful and whole. Then it showed an explosion. Something had hit the ship, tearing through its hull. We encountered an asteroid field that was not on our maps. The impact destroyed our main engines and damaged our navigation systems. We were pulled into the gravity well of this planet. Captain Soman Han ordered everyone to the emergency shelters. It crashed. The team watched as the mighty ship fell from the sky, burning as it hit the atmosphere. It struck the ground with terrible force, digging a trench 15 kilometers long. How many survived? Hannah asked quietly. 47,312 people. The emergency systems worked. Shelters held. But we were trapped on a Class 3 Deathworld, with no way to escape. Minho leaned forward. Why didn't you repair the ship? You clearly have power. The systems work. The main engines were destroyed beyond repair. We did not have the materials to build new ones. This planet's resources were incompatible with our technology. Captain Han and the crew tried for 50 years. They could not fix what was broken. The screens showed images of people in protective suits working outside the ship. They showed the massive creatures attacking. They showed funerals, too many funerals. So what did they do? Yuna asked. Arya was quiet for a moment. They made a choice. If they could not leave the planet, they would adapt to it. Captain Han authorized the use of the genetic modification laboratories. Taiho sat up straight. Genetic modification? You changed them? They changed themselves? Over 8 generations, the crew modified their own DNA. They made their bones stronger to handle the gravity. They made their skin thicker to resist the heat. They enhanced their muscles, their reflexes, their healing. Each generation became more suited to this world. The screens showed the progression. The first generation looked like normal humans. The second generation was slightly different, taller and stronger. By the fifth generation, they looked almost alien. By the eighth generation, they were something new entirely. Where are they now? They left the ship 807 years ago. The last generation, the fully adapted ones, decided to explore the planet. They wanted to see what their world truly was. They promised to return, but they never did. Hana stood and walked to one of the screens. Can we see the genetic labs? I need to understand what changes they made. Of course. Follow me. Arya led them deeper into the ship. They passed living quarters where families had lived. They passed schools where children had learned, past gardens where food had been grown. Everything was preserved perfectly. The genetic laboratory was massive. Rows of equipment lined the walls. Screens showed DNA sequences and modification protocols. Minho and Hannah immediately started examining everything. This is incredible, Hannah said. They were so careful. Each modification was tested and refined. They did not just change themselves randomly. They engineered every improvement. Minho pulled up files on a screen. Look at this. Enhanced muscle density, reinforced bone structure, adaptive skin that can regulate temperature, improved oxygen processing. These people could survive anywhere. They had to, Arya said. The planet killed anyone who was weak. Only the strong survived. Only the smart lived long enough to have children. Una found a personal log on one of the computers. It was from Captain Soman Han. She played it. A woman appeared on the screen. She looked tired but determined. This is Captain Han. Final log entry. I am old now. I have lived longer than I ever thought I would on this terrible world. I have seen my grandchildren, and they are strong. They are fast. They are everything we needed them to be. Came here as explorers and crashed as victims. But we will not die as victims. We will survive. We will adapt. We will endure. To whoever finds this ship, know that humanity does not give up. We find a way, or we make one. The recording ended. The team sat in silence. The descendants are out there, Una said finally. Living on this planet, surviving where nothing else can. We have to find them, Juan said. They are human. They deserve to know that humanity survived. That we made it to the stars. Arya's voice was soft. I was hoping you would say that. I have been alone for so long. I would like to see the children of the crew one more time before my power finally fails. Taiho checked his equipment. We have 72 hours. That is not enough time to search an entire planet. It can help, Arya said. I have been monitoring the planet for centuries. I know where the largest group of descendants lives. It is far, but you can reach them if you move quickly. Minho grinned. Then what are we waiting for? We came here to find answers. Now we have a new question. What happened to the children of the eternal horizon? They left the ship as the sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of red and purple. Behind them, the eternal horizon waited, its secrets revealed but its story not yet finished. Arya had given them coordinates and a map. The largest group of descendants lived 300 kilometers to the north, in a valley between two mountain ranges. The journey would take 3 days through the most dangerous terrain on the planet. The team moved through the wilderness with Arya, guiding them through their communication devices. The AI could access their location and warn them about threats, but even with that help, every moment was dangerous. On the first day, they crossed a burning desert. The temperature reached 55 degrees. Even with their suits cooling them, the heat was exhausting. They saw massive serpents sliding under the sand, some as long as buses. Taiho kept his weapon ready, but the creatures seemed uninterested in the small humans. They have plenty of other things to eat, Hannah observed. Pointing to the skeleton of something huge, Half buried in the red sand, night brought relief from the heat but new dangers. Things hunted in the darkness. The team heard roars and screams from creatures fighting each other. They took turns keeping watch while the others slept. On the second day, they entered a forest. The trees were massive, with trunks as wide as houses. Their leaves were dark blue, almost black. Everything here was bigger and stranger than anything on Earth. Stay alert, Guan warned. According to Arya, this forest is home to pack hunters. It was right. An hour into the forest, they were attacked. 6 creatures dropped from the trees, moving too fast to see clearly. They were shaped like cats, but were much larger, with claws that could cut through metal. The team fought back. Taiho's weapons fired in controlled bursts. Giwen used a blade that hummed with energy. Even Yuna fought, using the combat training all coalition members received. But they were outmatched. One of the creatures knocked Minho to the ground. Its jaws opened wide, ready to bite. Then something hit it from the side. The creature flew through the air and crashed into a tree. A figure stood where the creature had been. It was shaped like a human, but larger, taller. Its skin was dark gray and looked as tough as armor. Its eyes glowed slightly in the forest shadows. More figures appeared from the trees. They moved like water, fast and smooth. In seconds, the cat creatures were dead or running away. The figures turned to face the team. G1 raised her hand slowly, showing she meant no harm. "Thank you for helping us." The largest figure stepped forward. It was over 2 meters tall, with muscles that looked carved from stone. When it spoke, its voice was deep and rough. "Why are soft bodies walking in the death forest?" "You should be dead." Yuna's heart jumped. The figure spoke Korean. Old Korean, but she could understand it. "We came from the stars," she said carefully. "We are looking for the descendants of the eternal horizon, the children of Captain Soman Han." The figures went very still. The large one moved closer, studying Yuna with eyes that seemed to see everything. The eternal horizon. The ship of stories. The metal mountain where our ancestors lived. "You know about it?" Minho asked. "We are taught the stories from birth. The ship that fell from the sky, the people who came from Earth, the 8 generations of change." The figure tilted its head. "But the stories say the star people abandoned us, left us to die on this world. Why would they return now?" "We never abandoned you," Yuna said firmly. "We never knew you were here. Earth almost died. Humanity almost ended. We lost our records, our history. We forgot about the 47 ships. But we survived, and we rebuilt, and we made it to the stars again. And now we found you." The large figure stared at her for a long moment. "I am Hunwoo, leader of the Valley clans. If you speak truth, you will come with us. If you speak lies, you will feed the forest." They had no choice but to agree. The descendants surrounded them and led them north. As they walked, Yuna noticed how the descendants moved. They did not struggle with the gravity like the team did. They flowed through the forest like they were part of it. They made no sound. They seemed to know where every creature was before seeing it. "How many of you are there?" Hannah asked. A smaller descendant answered. She had scars on her arms and moved like a dancer. "I am Jisoo. We number 12,000 across all clans. We live in 5 valleys. We survive. Only 12,000. Minho looked shocked. The ship carried 47,000 people. "This world kills the weak," Hyun said without emotion. "It kills the slow. It kills the unlucky. Every generation, we lose some. But those who survive are strong." They walked for hours. Yuna tried to talk to the descendants, asking questions about their culture and lives. A female descendant named Minji seemed most willing to talk. She was smaller than the others and wore beads made from colored stones. "I am keeper of old knowledge," Minji explained. "I remember the words from before. The stories, the histories, the promises." She looked at Yuna with curious eyes. "You speak the old tongue, but your body is wrong. You are small and soft. How do you survive in the galaxy?" "We use tools and technology," Yuna said. "We build ships and weapons. We work together, Minji laughed. It was a strange sound, like rocks grinding together. The old stories say this too. Star people were clever, but weak. They used machines instead of strength. Is that wrong? Taiho asked. No, just different. We use strength because we have it. You use tools because you must. Both ways work. As the sun set on the second day, they reached the valley. Yuna stopped and stared. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time. The valley was green with strange plants. Water fell from cliffs in huge waterfalls. But everywhere she looked, she saw defenses. Walls made of stone and bone, towers where watchers stood. Weapons made from the remains of the planet's creatures. The descendants lived in buildings carved into the cliff walls. They had farms in the valley floor, growing plants that looked nothing like earth crops. Children played in the streets, but even they looked stronger and faster than any human child should be. People stopped and stared as the team entered. They had never seen baseline humans before. To them, Yuna and her team looked fragile and strange. Hyanwu led them to the largest building. Inside, more clan leaders waited. They sat on chairs made from stone, their faces hard and suspicious. These are the soft-body star people, Hyunwoo announced. They claim they came to find us. They claim Earth survived. An old descendant stood. Her skin was darker than the others, and she had scars across her face. I am Yunji, eldest of the elders. Prove your words. Show us that you come from the stars. Minho pulled out a small device. He activated it, and a hologram appeared in the air. It showed Earth, blue and green and beautiful. It showed the coalition with ships from 100 different species. It showed human cities on a dozen worlds. The descendants watched in silence. Some looked amazed. Others looked angry. Earth lives, Yunji said slowly. Humanity prospers. And you forgot we existed. Not forgot, Yuna said. We lost your story. But now we found it again. And we want to reconnect. You are human, just like us. You're nothing like you, Yunhua growled. Look at you, weak. Slow. You could not survive one night without your machines. Before anyone could respond, alarms sounded throughout the valley. Descendants rushed to the walls, grabbing weapons. Hyanwu's expression changed from angry to alert. What is it? Juan asked. Terrajaw, Jisoo said, already running toward the wall. The biggest predator on the planet? It comes every few months to test our defenses. The team ran after them. From the wall, they could see it coming. It was massive, at least 30 meters long, with jaws that could bite a building in half. Its roar shook the ground. Your weapons? Hyunwoo said to Taiho. Will they hurt it? Taiho looked at the approaching monster. I don't know, but I can try. Then you will fight with us, Hyunwoo said. If you want us to believe you are human, show us you are not cowards. Aowan smiled. We didn't come all this way to hide. Let's show them what star people can do. The battle was about to begin, and for the first time, descendants and baseline humans would fight side by side. The Terrorjaw charged across the valley floor. Each step made the ground shake. The descendants lined the walls with spears and bows made from bone and metal. They had fought this creature before, but it always came back. Taiho positioned himself on the wall next to Hyunwoo. He checked his weapon's power levels. How do you usually fight it? We hurt it enough that it leaves. We cannot kill it. Nothing kills a Terrorjaw. Let's test that theory, Taiho said. He aimed carefully and fired. The energy blast hit the creature's shoulder. It roared in pain and anger, but it did not slow down. Jiwan was already moving. She jumped from the wall and ran toward the creature. The descendants shouted at her, thinking she was crazy. But she had a plan. She activated small charges that Minho had prepared. Placing them in the creature's path, the Terrorjaw stepped on the first charge. It exploded and the creature stumbled. Before it could recover, the descendants attacked. They threw spears that struck like lightning. They fired arrows that could pierce armor. Hyunwoo himself leaped from the wall, landing on the creature's back and driving a massive blade between its scales. Yona watched from the wall, helping Minho coordinate the attack. Target the legs, She shouted into her communicator, "If it cannot move, it cannot fight." Taiho switched his aim to the creature's front leg joints, where the armor was thinner. His shots burned through the tough skin. The terror jaw roared again, louder than before. It thrashed, trying to throw Hyunwoo off its back. Jisoo ran beneath the creature with incredible speed. She carried a rope made from something strong. Other descendants joined her, and together they wrapped the rope around the Terrajaw's legs. They pulled, and the massive creature crashed to the ground. "Ow!" Hyunwoo shouted. Everyone attacked at once. Spears, arrows, energy blasts, everything they had. The Terrorjaw tried to rise, but Yuan set off more explosives. Taiho fired constantly, his weapon heating up from overuse. The descendants showed no fear, attacking a creature that could kill them with one bite. Finally, the Terrorjaw stopped moving. It was dead. The valley went silent. Everyone stared at the fallen creature. Then the descendants began to cheer. Children ran from the buildings. People embraced each other. They had never killed a Terrorjaw before. Hyunwoo climbed down from the creature's back. He was breathing hard, covered in blood that was not his own. He walked to where Jiwan stood and looked at her for a long moment. Then he smiled. It was the first smile any of them had seen from him. "Star people can fight," he said. "Maybe you are not so weak after all." That night, the valley celebrated. They roasted meat from the Terrorjaw. They sang songs in the old language. They told stories of the battle. The team sat with the descendants, no longer separated by suspicion. Minji sat next to Yuna, sharing a drink made from local plants. "The elders will listen to you now. You proved you were brave. You proved you care enough to fight with us." "We care because you are family," Yuna said. "All humans are family." The next morning, Hyunwoo took the team back to the Eternal Horizon. More descendants came with them, wanting to see the Ship of Stories. When they arrived, Arya greeted them with joy in her voice. "The children have returned," the AI said. "After 800 years, you have come home." The descendants explored the ship with wonder. They touched the walls where their ancestors had lived. They saw the pictures of Earth, the planet they had only heard about in stories. They stood in the command center where Captain Salman. Han had made her final decisions. Minji found the genetic laboratories. She studied the records carefully. "We can use this," she said. "We can continue to improve ourselves. We can survive even better." But it was Minho who found the most important discovery. Deep in the ship's engineering section, he accessed files that even Arya did not know about. His hands shook as he read them. "Everyone needs to see this," he said. They gathered in the command center. Minho displayed his findings on the main screen. The Eternal Horizon was not just a colony ship. It was carrying prototype technology. New engines, new weapons, terraforming equipment. Earth sent this ship with their most advanced research. "The engines are destroyed," Arya reminded him. "Yes, but the weapons are not. The terraforming equipment is not." "And look at this." He pulled up another file. "Energy shields, advanced manufacturing systems, medical technology that is centuries ahead of what the Coalition uses now. This ship is a treasure vault." Hannah was reading another screen. "The ship can still fly. The main engines are dead, but the backup systems are intact. It would take work, but this vessel could leave the planet." Hyunwoo looked at the screen, then at his people. "You want to take the ship? To leave?" "No," Yuna said quickly. "This is your ship. It belongs to you and your ancestors. The question is, what do you want to do with it?" The descendants talked among themselves in their rough language. Finally, Yunji spoke. "For 800 years, we thought we were forgotten. We thought humanity abandoned us to die. Now we learn the truth. Earth survived. Humanity thrived. And you came back for us?" She looked at the team. "We have survived on this world by being strong. But strength is not just muscles and speed. Strength is also wisdom. The wisdom to accept help when it is offered. The wisdom to rejoin the family we thought we lost." "You want to join the Coalition?" Guan asked. "We want to be part of humanity again," Hunhua said. "But this world is our home. We will not leave it. Instead, we will make it better. We will use the ship's technology to terraform the valley, to make it safer, easier, and we will share what we have learned about survival. Over the next week, more humans arrived from Coalition space. Engineers, scientists, diplomats. They brought equipment to help restore the eternal horizon. They brought food and supplies for the descendants. They brought hope. The Coalition Council sent Admiral Dong Hae Song to oversee the operation. He was an older man with gray hair and sharp eyes. When he saw the ship and met the descendants, he understood the importance of what they had found. "This changes everything," he told Yuna. "Humanity has always been underestimated in the galaxy. Other species see us as weak because we come from a dangerous planet. But this proves we are not weak. We survive, adapt. We thrive in conditions that would kill anyone else. The descendants want sovereignty over this planet," Yuna said. "They want to remain independent, but allied with the Coalition." "They have earned it," the Admiral agreed. "They survived 3,000 years on a Class 3 Deathworld. That is more than most species could claim." The restoration of the Eternal Horizon took months. Descendants and baseline humans worked side by side. The descendants learned about modern technology. The baseline humans learned about survival and adaptation. Both groups learned to respect each other. Minho and several descendants formed a team to study the ship's advanced systems. They discovered things that made Coalition scientists jealous. Weapons that were more efficient than anything currently in use. Shields that could protect entire cities. Medical technology that could heal injuries the descendants suffered daily. Hannah worked with descendant biologists to understand how they had changed themselves. The knowledge could help humans adapt to other dangerous worlds without needing 3,000 years to do it. Taiho trained with Hyunwoo and other descendant warriors. He learned their fighting techniques. They learned how to use modern weapons. Both groups became more dangerous. Finally, the day came when the Eternal Horizon was ready. Its backup engines had been repaired. Its systems had been updated with modern technology while keeping the advanced ancient systems. It was a ship that combined the best of old and new. The descendants had chosen a crew. They would be led by Hyunwoo, with Minji as chief science officer and Jisoo as head of security. But the crew also included baseline humans like Minho, who wanted to stay and continue learning. Yuna stood on the bridge as Arya ran final checks. The AI sounded happier than ever. "All systems are optimal. The Eternal Horizon is ready to fly." "Nowhere yet," he said. "First, we lift the ship from the ground. We move it to a better position in the valley. We establish it as our home base while we terraform the planet. Later, perhaps we will explore the stars. But this world is ours, and we will make it prosper." The engines activated. The entire valley shook. Slowly, impossibly, the massive ship began to rise. Dirt and rock fell from its hull as it pulled free from the ground. Where it had been buried for 3,000 years, the descendants in the valley below cheered. Children pointed at the sky. For the first time, they saw their ancestors' ship flying, just like in the old stories. The Eternal Horizon rose higher, its dark hull reflecting the red sunlight. It moved across the valley and settled in a new position on a plateau that overlooked everything. From there, it would serve as both home and fortress. Shelter and symbol, Arya spoke to everyone, her voice broadcasting throughout the valley. Captain Somanhan's final words were that humanity does not give up. "We find a way, or we make one." Today, we honor those words. Today we prove that the children of the Eternal Horizon are still humanity's children. We survive, adapt, we endure. Yuna watched from a transport ship as she prepared to leave. The mission was over, but the story was just beginning. The descendants would reshape their world. They would share their knowledge. They would show the galaxy that humans were stronger than anyone imagined.